All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Newsbeat Nightly. Okay, interesting day. Let's talk about every name we mentioned today. Now, you have to realize for those watching the Newsbeat Nightly right now, that's great. But what I have done, which I have recently accomplished, is I made really, in my opinion, the easiest to follow system. And I'm doing this for a reason. And I'm trying to help people more and more out in this market because I know it's a tougher market for intraday. A lot of people, you bought Tesla calls, you're looking great. You bought Nvidia calls, you're looking great. But to give you an idea of some of the names we're watching this morning, I come out in the morning with a very specific list of names. One of them was Nvidia. We talked about the bullish news in the morning. We saw all the volume behind it. We knew it looked awesome. It's actually gapped up just under $2 after hours. This might go to 200 bucks. And if that does happen, I will wow. I still remember Kathy saying that a while ago. When I heard your target, you know what I thought to myself at the time when you said it? And I'll repeat it. I don't know where the stock was when you said it. I don't remember the exact day. It's over 100, less than 120. I said to myself, how could it happen this year? I could see it happening, I just didn't see it happening this year. But regardless of where Nvidia goes from this point forward, up or down, I will say it's an impressive call and an impressive move. I didn't think you were insane. I thought it could happen by next year. So you basically had half the time frame as me, much less than half, because you didn't call it on January 1st. You might have had what, 8, 9 months on that call. What was I using? 20, 21 months. So you had less than half my time frame, if you want to get mathematical about it. But the point is, I'm trying to create a system that's very easy to follow. I talk about Nvidia in the pre-market. We talk about trading Nvidia in the pre-market. We talk about shorting Juno. This was the only short trade we gave today was Juno. Not a bad call. Here's the daily of Juno. And then, of course, there's Impinge, which we called long and pulled back, and this one got a bit higher as well. Didn't break out like Nvidia. But one of the interesting calls was we're also watching Baba and Yahoo this morning. And this is where I felt there was a good trade setup. This is where I felt there was a good trade setup on Alibaba. And it was, sorry, just setting it up. All right, there we go. It was in the morning right over here. And we identify this as a bear flag rising wedge, literally right here. Just going to pull up a painting. I want to draw it for you because I want to show you what it's like, at least to be caught in a real-time situation like this. So what I'm going to do is just going to put it in Microsoft Paint here so I could draw on it and easily explain it to you guys. We're focusing on this formation right over here. This formation. What was good about this formation was, what did we like bearish about here? Number one, bear flag. You could see, it might not be too hard to see, but if you actually look right over here at the volume was digesting as compared to what a rising wedge should do. So in English, you put in high volume on the bar, on the bear flag bar, and then you digest it in a rising wedge. Now that formation, I'm not sure if it looks like much, but you pretty much plummeted about 5 points in Baba off that call. And we were involved. You get real time involvement. Whether, for some people they wouldn't take that trade, that's fine. Some people some people are messaging me saying they love this stuff. However, it doesn't come easy today, and I'm going to talk about a particularly frustrating trade today. But I want you to see that not only did we short Baba, but we shorted Yahoo. And if you see on Yahoo right here, it was obviously putting in a similar formation. Why do I say obviously? Because the reason why Yahoo was moving up here today was the fact that you had a bear flag. So you could see this, the formation was similar. So we were thinking, do we do a pairs trade? Do we do something like cutesy and fancy where we'll, buy one, short the other via stock or options or both? But I told myself, I said, you know what? I was just looking at it. It was a short. And I'll explain to you the beauty about this trade. The beauty about the trade is Baba came out earlier saying they were going to have up to 49% growth revenue by 2018. If you wanted to know why Baba exploded today. Yahoo owns a big part of Alibaba, that's why it moved too. So going back to the paint, I want to show you why I liked it, how I caught it, and when I caught it. Okay. So like on an Alibaba right here, these are the things I liked about it. Number one, bear flagpole. Number two, volume. Number three, rising wedge. In terms of a bearish setup, that's one positive, that's two positive, and that's three positive. So for me, there were three technical things I liked about it. The interesting part about this trade was it had positive news. So, it's sort of, why would I short it on positive news? I'll tell you why. Why would you short it on positive news? There's a very, very simple explanation. And you don't need to get intimidated by my charts. Use whatever you want. I'm just showing you what I used and how it worked. There are people who use different things, and I think you should keep growing your technical parameters as a trader as you evolve and you learn new things from the market. I think it is of utmost importance to start trying out technical indicators, new ones that you've never used before. Now, why would I short Baba if it had positive news? Well, what I've noticed is in these very heavy news names, I would say as far as I think any record I have, it's about 100% of the time. You will hit throughout the day at some point this 5-minute exponential 8 moving average. It could be late in the day, there's no timing, but it hits it almost every day, just like most stocks do, but especially news names, because if you're having high volatility to the upside, even when you digest a little and you pull down a little, you'll hit these support levels. So what I saw basically was this rising wedge, and I saw the 8 far away. So we were sort of playing a time game with Baba. I think Ken pointed that out. So what happened? You're going towards day lows, right? Then I called the bottom and said I'm bullish now. Right here, at this point, in real time. Now what I did, and I'm not even going to call it silly, and I'll explain why. And it was right over, now I'm bringing you to the 15-minute chart. We were calling the bottom like at this yellow line because we really felt you were going to test the 15-minute support line here. It's just the yellow line. You could put this in on freestockcharts.com. Everyone has access to this. Look, BABA price, exponential moving average, and just the way I like to do candlesticks. I'm talking very simple at this point. Now, what happened was, you know, I missed going long this, but the point is, I was saying it was bullish right here because the risk reward to the short side wasn't looking so great anymore. So I didn't know if it was going to hit it on this candle, but when the risk reward starts diminishing, I think you have to get out of the put play or stock play, however you played it. So looking at this formation here, I was able to say in real time again that this will bounce. This was one of my better calls. And even though I didn't get the pullback to the 15, if this yellow line hit on this candlestick, which a lot of times it does, it didn't today, and it caused me to miss this entire rally up. I don't regret missing this trade. The only one argument you could have made for buying in early, do you guys see it? I'll give you 30 seconds. Can you look at this chart and say, between here and here, what could have I done to force myself to buy it on this 15-minute candle right here? Was there something you could have done? I'll give you guys 20 seconds and then I'm going to say it. It's something very important. I don't think you could do it with conviction, but obviously if you had long conviction, you held it, it just went up. Yes, exactly. The break of the 15-minute high. Why was it in... Whoops, I think I just restarted it. Excuse me. Just trying to get my stock up. Whoops. Okay, let me show you guys now. So you're right, Ken. It didn't break the 15-minute high. And the only reason why that's important, there's one reason why it's important, because it never happened since the beginning of the day. So a lot of times I would say you could scalp, maybe get in a little before 136.86 here and scalp it to the long side. You could have caught a point if you did that. And if you were stubborn and held a little and you wanted to manage to hold it all day, that's great. But you couldn't attack that one with conviction. You had been able to scalp it. The scalp made sense. I don't think I called that one out. I called out just the bottom, but I didn't. I don't even remember if I called out that you could scalp that. I didn't do it. But you never pulled back to the 15, and that is the crucial piece of information there. Yahoo, for the entire day, by the way, the 15-minute exponential 8 held in BABA. Yahoo, actually, if you want to know the importance of it at that point, hit it actually right here through 54.61, blipped at 2 cents. Using my methodology, that was a buy point right there in Yahoo. I wasn't watching this one. I mean, look, you missed a large part of the bounce, but at the same time, you caught another point and change if you were perfect on it. So, that's another point that you saw Yahoo actually did hit that level and bounced. To the tough side, I would say it's Weibo. So, I'm like pretty upset over this trade, and I'll explain why. And the importance of what I'm saying now is I literally had the bad trade in the morning. How many of you guys tried to revenge trade it back and then get hurt even more, right? Because your mind is, thing, out of whack and you're just like revenge mode trading. It's never like that. Well, it should never be like that, rather. So what happened was the mistake I made in Weibo today was the fact that it didn't have news and I was approaching it more technically. Now, granted, it was something very rare. I mean, look at Weibo. You just rarely put in like a candlestick like that. But believe it or not, it was actually a very bullish close in Weibo. But the one thing I didn't do is I didn't attach recent positive news in Weibo. And that's why I was frustrated with that trade. So I dealt with the roller coaster of Weibo. It was like, just forget about that. Look at the 1 minute. In the first 9 minutes, it went from 80.19 to 75.14, a $5 5-cent drop in 9 minutes with no news whatsoever. So when I saw it start flushing through the 8 and the pivot point here, to me that was a buy point right there. This was a bad call now. I'm showing you what I did well. I'm showing you what I didn't do well. And then the stock plummeted, bounced all the way higher. Just zooming out in the 1 minute. Fell down again and then bounced and then just basically digested. Torturous. So after that 9 minutes, I think what's a very important thing is how did I move on to my next name? The first thing I did is I was able to admit I did something wrong to myself. I think that is a very important factor in trading because unfortunately some people come in the day and unless their first trade is green, there's a high statistical probability that your next trade will be red if your first trade was red. And that's due strictly to psychological toxicity unless you had, you accept the risk parameter. So the WB, the frustrating part was when I came back to it at the end, I told myself this was a bad idea. Not a bad trade. Like on that set, technically on that setup, if Weibo had positive news, I could have bought there, and 8 out of 10 times it would have bounced or not flush like the way it did. It almost never does that with no news in the market. Yeah, up and down, down and up. Not the biggest deal at that point. So when I came back to the trade, the frustrating part about it was the fact that it had no news. So any stock I watch from now on, in terms of an intraday play, swing wise, I still think it's a good swing. Don't get me wrong. Weibo's an excellent stock to hold. I think Weibo goes to $85, 82.5 to $85 target technically, and I think this was a very bullish close, deceptively bullish close today. Could it still pull in? Sure. I see it's gapped down a little after hours, 12 cents. I mean, yeah, it can, but I think overall it's bullish. But on the intraday scale, if you guys are looking for intraday, I'm no longer going to follow stocks on strict non-news technical basis. And that was the problem. So what I did was, after being very upset, it wasn't a major loss, but it was a major swing because, you're just moving points. So when you're in a major swing like that, a lot of times it does psychological damage. So immediately I was flustered, I was upset, I cursed. I hope I turned my mic off if I did. If I didn't, I apologize. I do my best with that. I try to leave it on for just real-time analysis of the trade. But it does get a little flustering. So after that trade, after that was done, I had to basically come back to my senses and then say, okay, I have to do something better. So I was looking at BABA. I looked at the exponential 8. I knew the news was positive. Just like I was saying in the intraday, I'm going to turn bullish on this. But at that point, it was an obvious short because I thought it would get at least to the exponential 8 moving average at that point. And that's all it was. That was the whole trade. Volume, technicals, support, and the volume was from the news. So even if this went up, I wouldn't have regret losing on this trade. Not only that, couple it with a Yahoo short at the same time. And all of a sudden, you're doing well. AMD we called bullish today. Obviously, I told you the Weibo I called bullish today. I just went over that story. Yahoo we called bullish today. Baba we called bullish today. Nvidia we called bullish today. Juno we called short today. And Impinj we called long today, which I didn't think it was the sexiest move. But you just get the picture risk-reward wise. What our plan looks like. That's the morning game plan. You guys get the first look, but what I do is I take some or none of the game plan names and apply it. Like, for example, we talked Macy's bearish, but they gapped it up after JW Nordstrom had news that they were going to go private. So what did Macy's do? Gapped up to the exponential 8 moving average and flushed. And that was a short call. I thought that was a great short call. Gapped up, gave you a tremendous opportunity. Now again, I can't trade 20 names at once. I am nitpicking from what I'm talking about here. But I am talking about what we discuss, go over, plan, and strategize behind too. So I feel in this market, a lot of times if you're trading stock, you have to be willing to swing a little. You have to ask yourself this. If you're looking to make 50 cents, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to risk a quarter. I'm going to risk 10 cents to make 40. And they justify what they do like that. I get that. Sometimes there are situations where that works. Usually there isn't. Usually when you're in a trade in today's market, you need to swing. So for example, let's say you're playing Nvidia today long. Or any direction, doesn't matter. But let's say you played Nvidia long today. Here's a 15-minute of Nvidia. Digested, then exploded right off my trend line of resistance right here. Look, acted perfectly, right? This was drawn from the daily. See that? That's the daily. So you could see even on the intraday how the 15-minute how that daily line held. But let's say you're playing Nvidia today and you were long Nvidia, let's say in the morning, and you see your P&L moving. With a stock like Nvidia gapped up like this, you have to think that it's going to move at least. If you asked me, I would have said 5 points that you have to risk, no matter where you buy it. And that might sound like a lot, and you might say, well, 5 points, that's a lot. I wish I could make it smaller. And you could use things like, my methodology on the 1 in 5 minute. Of course it applies here, and if you did that, you would have bought it right here. You would have bought it right here at 10.15 using my methodology today. See that? Look, hits the level, bounce. This is a moving average phenomena, by the way. A lot of times moving averages don't work this well. In this market, I humbly believe it does. You got to keep exploiting the working strategy of today. It doesn't matter what technical analysis you use. Are you able to call buy points and good sell points using your parameters? How often are you right then wrong? What are you risking when you're wrong? What are you taking when you're right? I mean, these are questions based on individual risk parameters. But if you're in a Nvidia and let's say you're like, I want to risk like $500 today in Nvidia, if that was your call, considering you didn't do options, you could buy like 2 calls. That would have been a fine move. Or you could have bought, I would say, 100, maybe 150 shares if you were thinking of risking $500. See, the problem with Weibo today was even if you said that with Weibo, it's going so rapidly that it's really hard to connect and say, okay, I'm only going to risk this. So you become in a much more volatile position. The truth is, that was almost impossible to predict. But here's the good news. It's easily avoidable in the future. And I continue to develop this, and I really start liking to watch, the stocks that you guys try to trade as well. But the best success comes from news plays, and that's something that I'm going to start strictly following by tomorrow. I mean, right now it's 98% news and stock selection, but I need it to be 100. If it was, it would have avoided a YBO. Okay, now that I shared the fun, let's get into some names. All right, new bullish dojis. Saw VRX moving today. That looked nice. VRX is such a funky stock, but the truth is, looks bullish. Extremely. Look at this. This might be in the first stages of a breakout. You might get this VRX like $16 to $18 in, between now and a few weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, I don't know. Depends on the upgrades. It's possible. Now, somebody could come in and just reiterate all their downgrades. What VRX is doing right now is the following, and you'll see it happen maybe even tomorrow in the morning. You're going to have analysts rethinking their target. They're either going to raise or reiterate. None of them are brave enough now to look at that in VRX and say that they want to downgrade it. So they'll either reiterate price targets or raise them. If they get raised tomorrow, we could have a gap up in the pre-market of VRX. That wouldn't surprise me. So they sold off one of their businesses for under $1 billion, just under $1 billion bucks. That should help them pay off debt. Just looking for bullish dojis. Interesting on Mylan, wouldn't you say? Now, what do you think about that? See what news is out there on Mylan. This has news tomorrow. I'll trade it. I don't need to mention it. But it was a very nice setup. You still watching AMAT, Reinhold? This is one you liked. Just seems like it makes an all-time high every day. Maybe we get to 50? I know you've been swinging that for a while, so great hold. Activision too. I will come out bearish on a game in Activision. Their Hearthstone game, I still think they make money on it. I think they start to lose money just because of my knowledge of card games. I think they're going to start decreasing. Wow, look at the Intercontinental Exchange. Ice. Intercontinental Exchange, beautiful bullish doji. Caesars. That's a nice one. I'll let you guys screenshot the game plan too, if you're watching online. 1305. It's nice volume. I just don't like trading Caesars. Like, we called this bullish one. This was in the game plan for this breakout. I don't need to mention this one again. FedEx. My goodness. 206.93 all-time high. Think we gap down tomorrow? We gap down after hours right now. That'd be interesting. Gap down after hours on the Qs. 28 cents. Is that legit? Yep, 60 cents down on the spiders. Gotta see what these bearish dojis look like. Bluebird bio yet again. And you do see that you are decreasing in volume still. And you keep struggling to break out. This one just needs to have one red day that just use it off here. Just one U trade here in blue. And we'll have, this is one of the sexiest setups out there. I can't wait for this thing to digest. Look at that. Look at that move. Obviously, we called that twice already. We called it on Monday night into Tuesday, Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then I said I'm not watching it again until it digests. But volume is digesting here. You see it lowering. What usually happens is you pull back a little, give you a nice buying opportunity there. And I encourage anybody to speak about a trade they did that they, were happy that they did, that, upset them, or they were thinking of doing. It's very good to analyze what you do and have other people analyze what you do. Traders, we're almost supposed to be built like robots. And what happens is when you remain within an emotionless state, when you have no emotions, what happens is certain chemicals in your brain that are released into your body like a cocktail. Did you know there are hundreds and hundreds of different chemicals that your body releases? There's a different chemical for different types of adrenaline depending on what the situation calls for. So when humans are built like robots, what happens is we're literally pumping a different chemical cocktail into our bodies. And a lot of times that makes people feel like robots because they're trying to devoid themselves of all emotions. I've met some people who are able to do that. You know, I mean, I look at some of these traders who've been doing it for a while, and they just have some of them. You'll look at them, and they'll have the most emotionless face. I'm telling you, like, yeah, like if you could tell a funny joke and make them smile, great. But other than that, they have like one face all the time. It's like half a version of Robert De Niro. It's like you have one face just all the time, and it's not like, and I'm not even saying it negatively or positively, it's almost like the emotions were ripped from their souls, and they literally are slowly evolving into a robot. And I'm saying a lot of trading is taking setups that do release different emotions and whatnot, but what you never want to do, I'm just going to look up bearish dojis now. What you never want to do is basically put yourself in a situation where, you basically are at the point where, you shouldn't be in like a certain intraday, trade, for example. And that eluded me today, not with blue. Just looking at these bearish dojis. But once you get into my mindset, the point of what I was saying this is I switch trades and, you know, when you switch like that and you make more money, it's a beautiful thing. So I'm not going to mention again any strict technical stocks for intraday trades unless there's some news out. Yeah. It's interesting setup on Fang, but it's breaking descending support. Don't know how I feel about that. If it was ascending support, it would be an easy short call. But this thing has pulled back so much, I think it's going to get back over and it's going to be a long call because of the fact that you're in a descending channel. So to me, overall, I could say something bearish about it. It's pretty easy. I can make a bullish argument here too. And my bullish argument basically is stating, unless this volume can maintain, maybe it can. Unless you start putting in like 2.5 million, 3 million shares, like soon, in one day, which is for the stock heavier volume than usual, you're going to bounce back up here, bounce back towards 90 bucks. So that's why I ignored setups like Fang right here to the short side, because I'd rather have calls than puts over there. DLTH. Wow. Don't really trade this one. Interesting bearish doji. Problem is, I'm not going to mention it because it could do like 100, 200,000 shares. So for intraday, worthless. Bearish dojis, I mentioned WSM, ended up popping. BMW. Yep. Wow. Not a lot of bearish dojis I like. Right, now I'm going to go through a filter. Alright, volume-wise, obviously I'm going to have to mention Alibaba for the all-time high break of 143.70. See, it's, down after hours $1. Still mentioning it bullishly. 143.70. Just have to watch that level. You don't know who's going to come out and upgrade this tomorrow. Yahoo. Is that all-time highs? Not even close. Yeah, with all the splits. Saying I remember when in 99 Yahoo was over 400 bucks. Then I realized on bottom there was a bunch of 2-for-1 splits. So this is a huge yearly breakout. See what it looks like on the monthly. Wow. This is showing room to 59.63 on the monthly. Think Macy's breaks down? Wow. It's a hard one to pass up. Urban Outfitters. Yuck. Look at that. Is anyone surprised? All these retailers are going, seeing who could touch the floor first. This surprises me a little. Molson. Did Germany infiltrate our beer supply? Like, what's going on here? I guess they're just selling less Molson. There should be German beer companies trading here. Guarantee you there would just be green bars. This is a big break. I'm just looking at this tap. This stock is huge. It's bearish breakdown, 86.03. Okay. Nunanex sucks. That stock can never go up. No matter what it does. Coors is trying. Wow. Look at Century Aluminum. Wow. Adding that one. Again, I'll let you guys screenshot the game plan for those watching online. WB put in a ton of volume today. That just came up on my filter sell decks. Let's see what's happening with this. Oh, another American beer company, Budweiser. Are people really drinking less beer in times like this? Like, I mean, I rarely drink beer anymore. It happens, but it's almost never. Has anybody been drinking too much hard liquor? You know, not doing the beer with the calories anymore. You know, it's weird when I drink beer, I snore at night. That's my thing. I'll never snore unless I drink beer or go out drinking. It's just, wow, that's a nice setup. You watching this one today, Robert? I'm mentioning it because it did 2.3 volume. It is a dollar name, but that's nice. Look at it in the morning, see if any upgrades come out on it. Cabela's Pulse Engulfing Bar. Wow. Okay. Just VRX. I have to mention VRX through 1346, and that's it. Okay. If you'd like to screenshot this, you can do it now. Here, I'll remove this. If you wish to watch the tutorial, you could screenshot this, and I'm going to need you to screenshot one more. You have to screenshot that too. Urban and tap. Okay. Any technical analysis I can offer you guys in the room? Now would be the time to ask. See you, Kathy. What stock are you talking about? Classic intraday falling wedge? Do you mean a classic intraday rising wedge? Or are you talking about Nvidia, which was a falling wedge? Baba went up after that because, again, it's positive news. The only thing that justified that short trade for me in Baba today was the fact that you didn't hit the 8 and you were putting in a rising wedge. I didn't know that Baba was going to top out exactly here, but I had a damn good range of where it could top out. But in terms of Baba going up for the entire day, that would have been a harder call, but the fact that you could have bought it potentially on the 15-minute would have made it an easier call. Whether or not you held it, that's that's discretionary at that point, but I hear what you're saying. You want to see Great Britain pound US? Wow. Right on support. You could play it long here versus day lows in my tight, tight, tight technical opinion. And you're looking for like a 1 day trade. If you're lucky, you get two for a long trade here. Hit major support. You broke it with volume, I'm assuming, and bounced. X, yep. Very strong stock. I hope we get that 55. It's a beautiful price target. That would be awesome for you. That's 7.5 points, and I agree. Yep, Frank called FTX yesterday. Yeah, tried doing it in front of a crowd. Yeah, Boston beer is good quality, Reinhold, for sure. Nope, never had that beer, Reinhold. SXE. Yeah, nice. Did you get involved in this? Call name pop out today was nice. This is a break of descending resistance in the 200. The only thing I wish I saw more of was volume today. But what a beautiful move there. Baba. Seeing there's a falling wedge. To me, right here was rising. Let's see where the falling could have been. Okay, fair enough. You could have put that falling wedge right here. Absolutely. And that's where I was turning bullish too. But I didn't. I was turning bullish not for that reason, but I was turning bullish because you are approaching the 5 and I thought you were going to bounce off the 5. So you broke the 5. And we started calling the cover. And then you broke out right here, and this was really your sign right there. And it just kept going. Footsie chart. Wow. Quite the engulfing bar. Hmm. This is what I think is happening. Yeah, it's bearish. But you probably bounce. I mean, you would have to play it like this. You would have to play it like this right now. So if you're playing it long, you have to hold above 74.0310. I'll type that in. You'd have to hold above 74.0310. And you're hoping right now to get a digestive pattern. Like, you risk pretty much 30 to make like 30 to 50. And that's how I approach this right now. Like 0030, 0050. That's my thoughts here on this. You need to follow, like, you need to start putting up, like, moving averages and whatnot to see if it's going to digest like a bear flag. But if you see a wedge forming here and it just starts slowly drifting up with smaller candles, then you could start thinking that you could get the flush back to the line again. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed Newsbeat Nightly. Happy trading, make money. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the Newsbeat live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.